move things, take things, and have no care in showing themselves to us. We view them commonly from the corner of our eyes, and not only do they cause us trouble, they've been known to attack and to hurt us. They have killed our children only for the state to describe it as cot death. They have killed our families only to have it listed as heart attacks. They seek to scare us and make our homes uncomfortable, and they will always be amongst us. At the time, many people, especially journalists, thought it a vivid exaggeration. How can demons live amongst us while so few are ever seen? Yet they're seen all the time and rationalized into being something else. That dark shape that moved across the window. That thing that passed a shadow across your switched-off TV screen. That dark thing you saw on your computer monitor. Or while you try to sleep, that hint of movement from your open wardrobe. There in the shadows looking directly at you, just one of your home's shadow demons. They're seen and they're heard every day, walking upstairs, walking across your loft floor, playing around whilst you try to rest. In Sunderland, 3 shadow demons plagued the Robertson family so badly they had to move out of their home opposite Sunderland Mecca in 1967. They had 11 photographs with dark, small human figures on them. The most vivid of 2 dark figures hiding amongst shoes in the bottom of a wardrobe. Irene Smith of Lobley Hill in Gateshead told the coroner that his verdict of heart attack on her husband in 1958 was not right. She said he'd been driven to his death by a pitch-black spirit that growled at him. This dark creature would leap on his bed and wake him in the middle of the night and had tried to smother him on various occasions. The night before he died, her husband had been suffering panic attacks. He was shaking, said Irene. The little bastard won't leave me alone, pet. I'm sick of it, but I'm more scared if it does manage to kill me. What will he do to you? The following day, the old chap had enjoyed his breakfast, gone upstairs to put his clothes on. They were planning to have a day in Durham. And as he opened the wardrobe, there was a huge hissing growl, and the demon leapt onto his chest, scratching it. The coroner mentioned them as they were clearly seen in the autopsy. The old gentleman suffered a heart attack and died, and Irene told the coroner, I heard a thump and raced upstairs, and as I opened the bedroom door, there was a dark creature with staring eyes sitting on his chest. I screamed at it to leave him alone, and it jumped off him into the wardrobe, slamming the door behind it. I tried to give George the kiss of life, but he was gone. That night I shared with my sister, then moved in with her and sold the house. The coroner's verdict was heart attack. Irene said, I was disgusted. That creature hounded him to death, and there was no official mention of it despite all of my proof. Yet the story of Andy Davison from back in 1989 is the most awful. Here is a man who believed there was no such thing as a ghost, and the thought of a demon would be laughable to him. He'd phoned talk shows, he'd written to newspapers to make those who do believe look stupid. He was a committed Catholic and had regularly quizzed his own priest as to why they have so many people who have visited homes to cleanse them of ghosts and demons, if the official position of the church was that they didn't exist. Then Andy moved into a new house in Low Fell in Gateshead and started seeing things. He failed to accept that they were real, claiming them to be shadows caused by cars moving past the front of his house or a trick of the light. On one occasion, he put his jacket on the banister at the bottom of the stairs, and on visiting the toilet, he came back to find it missing. Then he heard a rattling sound from his kitchen, and on walking in, there was his jacket on the bench. It had been tipped upside down, and on the tiled floor, all his loose change, his phone, his wallet, some notes, a pen, and his keys. And just then, something about half his height raced towards him, pushing past him aggressively, and bounded upstairs. Andy was breathing heavily. This was not anything that could be misinterpreted. There was something in his house. Despite his fear, he turned and picked up a knife, following it upstairs. Little by little, opening every door to every room, every cupboard, cautiously opening the shower door. Nothing anywhere. In the bath later that night, his hip and his right thigh were purple and black, a bruise caused by the impact with that thing. Little things were happening every day, things being moved. He wanted beans on toast, yet his tin opener had gone. He would later find it in the passenger seat of his car in the garage. His car key bent by itself, and he needed to hammer it straight again. On opening his underwear drawer, there was something like vomit all over everything. And that Sunday, he found himself eating humble pie, asking his priest for help. The priest, who had limited experience with such things, visited his house and carried out blessings in every room. And on leaving the priest unsettled him further, saying, "I did see it upstairs. It was staring at me from behind the wardrobe in your spare room. Crikey, it's bigger than I thought. It's the size of a young boy." Nothing changed, despite the odd crucifix being left around, Bibles, and holy water that had been splashed about. This demon was being even more demonic. On returning from work, Andy never knew what he was going to find. He was getting more and more frustrated, yet knew this thing was not like a ghost that you could go through. It was solid. He'd felt it. He'd been bruised by it. So the following Sunday, he decided he was going to track it down. He waited until he saw the dark shape through his glass door, slowly making its way up his stairs. Carrying a vintage truncheon that he'd bought at a car boot sale, he followed it upstairs and walked into the first room, the toilet and bathroom. He found himself shouting and swearing, then instead put down his little handheld dictaphone. He used it for work, and he left it on record. Then, room by room, he went in, opening any cupboard or wardrobe big enough to house the creature. Then finally, the last room, the spare bedroom, where the priest had seen him. He looked under the bed because he knows it had been under his while he tried to sleep. He'd felt it push